So the question is, where are we going to end up politically by the end of this process? The UK column has been suggesting for quite some time that what we're watching is the destruction of democracy in this country. But we don't need to worry, because this is Parliament Week, 2nd until the 8th of November 2019 is Parliament Week. And as we can see, the Cabinet Office getting ready for that. It's a big celebration of all things Parliament. But of course, Boris Johnson's election campaign is going to be based on the idea of the people versus Parliament. He's going to be pushing this narrative. Well, we wait to see what happens. In the meantime, in Parliament, of course, what will happen with Parliament in Parliament Week? Well, of course, we've got the brakes are off for Citizens Assemblies. Here we have Citizens Assemblies coming for zero emissions. And here is Rachel Reeves, the chair of the Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy Committee. Well, in fact, there were several committees have all decided to move on this. This is one of the major claims, Patrick, of course, one of the major demands of Extinction Rebellion. They seem to have capitulated to this. So 6 parliamentary committees have set up a people's forum to find out how the electorate wants MPs to save the environment. So the Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy Committee, the Environmental Audit Committee, Housing, Communities and Local Government Committee, Science and Technology Committee, Transport Committee and the Treasury Committee have decided to put out 30,000 invitations to people around the country. Rachel Reeves saying the Climate Assembly UK will advise Parliament on how people want us to meet the net zero target and suggest policies the government can implement to secure success. So, as I say, 30,000 invitations going out. 110 of the people that respond to that will be elected to the Assembly, and they will be invited to travel to Birmingham. There'll be a number of sessions between January and the middle of March next year. And of course, these people will be given the full story, Patrick, all aspects of climate change. I'm sure all the information about the solar effects on climate change will be presented to them so they can make a serious decision.
I think what we tried to show you here with this progression, Mike, is what we're trying to show viewers is that what is the tangible result of the whole Brexit debacle over the last 3 years. It's a low confidence in government.
Absolutely.
Record low confidence in government on both sides, right and left. Nobody trusts government. It's a shambles. It's a debacle. It's a farrago. And so there's a vacuum of confidence and trust. What is going to fill that vacuum? It has just been served up on a silver salver, Citizens Assemblies, sortition, Extinction Rebellion, and there the establishment is presenting you with the solution. They create the problem, the public's reaction is vociferous, and they present the solution. But they make the solution to look like it's coming from the, quote, grassroots, when in fact it's anything but. And that includes the climate campaigns are backed by multi-million-dollar PR and marketing campaigns. This is the establishment writ large. There's nothing grassroots about it. What they're doing is making a very fancy vehicle for grassroots people to jump on to feel like it's a grassroots movement, when in fact it is being orchestrated at the highest levels, including the City of London, including the biggest investment banks in the world. And go look at the work and research of journalist and researcher Corey Morningstar. Her blog is called The Wrong Kind of Green, and she'll explain exactly how net zero emissions does not mean zero emissions. It's an accountancy scam.
Absolutely.
But that's what underpins the sort of public campaign to get people to buy into this, when in fact what they're doing is creating a new green bubble. And we know what happens with financial bubbles.
Absolutely. Yeah. Right. That was very well put, Patrick. And I have to say that you know, the key point here is many people will view Citizens Assemblies as being a really fantastic idea because it brings ordinary people into the conversation with respect to policy. But of course it doesn't, because what actually happens is the people involved in this are the vested interests, as you say, and the NGOs and so on, who present a limited subset of information to the People's Assembly, who then get to vote on the information that they're presented. And they don't get to see any of the other information, which would be just as valid and perhaps, in fact, more important to make a decision on.
It's a pressure release valve
Absolutely.
for the public. So again, and look at an issue like fracking, Mike. Look at an issue like fracking had no support from the establishment. None. There were just ragtag bands of concerned citizens, protesters who went out and sat and demonstrated and occupied with just a few people, 24 hours a day, drilling sites around the UK, and they managed to put up such a resistance that it stopped some of the biggest corporations in the world from putting their drill bits in. And it had zero support from any of these NGOs, any of these think tanks, any of these multi-million-dollar Extinction Rebellion type movements. They did not support the anti-fracking movement in this country when it started. They jumped on board once it got traction. But I don't think from the beginning, those big marquee organizations, environmental organizations, were not backing or supporting any of these protesters. As far as I know, Mike, they were doing this on their own volition.
Absolutely right.
And it worked. Yeah.
Absolutely right. And it worked because the large organizations were kept out of the campaigning.